And welcome back to the Brohio Podcast, where we like to get completely naked to take a shit. I am the delicious Nicolicious here with the ever so spunky Rob Dog.
Hi.
Rob Dog, tell me the good news.
Good news. We have good news.
There is no good news.
I was going to say.
We suck just as bad as we did last week. That's the good fucking news.
I didn't know any good news.
Now, if you joined us last week, we did play The Sound of Death.
Oh my gosh. I hope you guys are still alive.
Which, actually, if you go back and listen to it, it was some guy taking a 45-second runny shit in a toilet. A lot of people.
Spoilers.
A lot of people wrote us and said, that's the nastiest thing. That's so nasty.
We had a lot of good reactions. A lot of people thought it was funny as shit, literally.
I would assume that there was a lot of people that turned us off for good.
Yeah.
That's okay, but you know what you're getting when you come here.
You know what? That was probably my favorite idea that I've had.
It was good.
That's one of like the 3 ideas this entire fucking
Right.
year and a half that I've had.
Now, I remember there was a point during, all the times we've recorded episodes where we would get certain reviews, certain people would reach out to us.
Yeah.
And one time we got a review that said, this is nasty, you need to dial it back, this is trashy. And that next week, we recorded, and I dialed it back a little bit. I said, we got a review that says we're nasty, they don't like us, they don't like the way we are, it's trashy. But you know what? We hang our hat on that shit, Rob. And now we're at the point.
That's what we do.
We could do whatever the fuck we want now. Right now, I'll pull my privates out.
Let's see.
And I'll take a piss in this microphone.
Let's see.
I paid for this microphone myself, and I'll piss right in it. I don't care.
Hey.
No one can take this microphone. I can do what I want.
We don't have any sponsors.
I'll pull my privates out right now.
We're our own show. We can do whatever the fuck we want.
I don't have genitals. I have privates. That's what I told my uncle. I said, these are my privates. And he said, oh, no, these are my privates now. They used to be your privates, but now they're my privates.
I've been on this thing where I've been seeing a lot of people talking about how they don't like banter before the theme of this main story of the episode. I'm like, fuck, hopefully these people don't listen to us. That's all we do is talk shit for 15 fucking minutes.
And if this is your first time listening, I would fast forward to about the 15 or 16 minute episode, because that's when you're going to get the content of Unit 731, which is
I think you're backwards. No, you're right. You're right. Okay.
What do I want?
You're right. I'm
I've
wrong.
said it 1,000 times this week.
For some reason, I was thinking it was 371.
Well, it's a good thing that I've got this shit all written down over here.
I'm relying on you.
I would like to say thank you to our new Patreon subscribers.
Yeah.
Start it, Rob. You go.
Ella.
Under my umbrella, under my. Thank you, Ella, so much. This next one comes from Derek Lee, former first baseman for the Chicago Cubs. Thank you, Derek, for your generous pledge.
This next one, I'm hoping this is their birth name. This is Clutch Kick. Thank you, Clutch Kick.
This is what Chuck Norris says when you start to get on his bad side. He's like, you don't want to see my fucking clutch kick. Tear your fucking jaw off with a fucking clutch kick. And sticking with nicknames and first names, thank you, Jaxus.
All right.
You think that's how we pronounce that?
I would assume so, yeah.
That's a JAXXESS, Jaxus. Thank you, Jaxus, for your generous pledge. Thank you so much.
Next up, we have Mr. Stuart Bedford.
Thank you so much, Stuart.
Thank you, Stuart.
That sounds like a very fancy name, doesn't it?
That's why I say that.
And last but not least, Adam Thomas. Adam.
Tomas.
Yeah. So if you would like to hop on the Patreon train,
dude, you want to
head on over to patreon.com/Brohio Podcast for $5 a month. That unlocks Bro Talk.
Bro Talk. We just got to do an episode.
Our premium content.
Yeah.
We talked about Jesus.
We spoke to our little cunt friend.
We talked to an Australian. He told us about drop bears, which are fucking vampire koala bears that fall out of the sky.
Yeah.
We will call you in the $10 club. But then if you want to join the $50 club, you get your own episode. You pick the topic, we Skype you in, we interview you.
We'll drink alcohol out of your ass.
No,
maybe.
No, we won't.
Maybe.
I won't do that.
I might. I've done a lot worse for a lot less.
I only do hardcore drugs out of asses, not that
okay.
sissy alcohol stuff.
All right. I can respect that.
But I did order some die-cut stickers. Really fancy Brohio stickers.
They are Spexy.
Yeah, they're going to be going out to the new Patreon pledgers.
I like it.
And also, I want to give a shout out to one of our faithful pledgers for a long time now, Aaron Griffiths. He's,
Aaron.
He's been pledging for a long time, and he said, "Where's my shout out, mate?" He's not from
I was
Australia.
gonna say, I don't think he's Australian.
I think he's from Great Britain. He said, "Where's my shout out?"
It's all the same.
Dear, what do you call a friend in Great Britain? I think they call him a mate.
A mate, yeah.
Mate is what I do with my wife when my penis is fucking hard as a goddamn rock. I mate with my wife.
Hey, buddy. Just call him buddy.
Hey, you want to mate?
Hey, pal. You want to be mating, pals?
See, there's different ways to ask. You can ask people. You can say, "Hey, you want to fuck?" "Hey, you want to bump uglies?"
Yeah, I like that.
My personal favorite. "Would you like to beat taters?"
Yeah.
But if you're a fan and a friend of Brohio, it's mate. You gotta say,
"Let me potato you."
"Would you like to mate?" "I would really like to mate with you." And those are the ways I ask my wife.
I would really enjoy sexual intercourse with you.
So I ask my wife to make coitus with me. Ways like that.
Coitus.
I would like to mate. She eats it up. And on a more somber note, another one of our good friends of the show, Lindsay Westcott, she's dealing with the loss of a friend, Mr. Weston Call. He died unexpectedly. And I just want to say that, Lindsay, we're thinking of you. I know it's hard to lose a close friend unexpectedly like that, and there's not really a whole lot we can say to make you feel better. But we are thinking of you. The entire Brohio Nation is. So if you are friends with Lindsay, reach out to her. Let her know that you are thinking of her. Sorry. I'm all clogged up there. But on the Patreon thing, we're trying to buy a live setup, which is a very expensive thing. But the thing with the live setup is we're going to take this fucking Brohio show on the road, Rob. We're going to go to fucking Amarillo, Texas, and eat steaks. We're going to go to California and have sex with other guys.
We're going to go to the Las Vegas and go to the Bunny Ranch.
No, we're not. We're going to go to Florida. We're going to get our dicks bit off by an alligator. We're going to go to Boston. We're going to have sex with hookers and eat crabs out of the hookers' vaginas. Not crab legs, but we're going to eat crabs out of hookers' vaginas.
We're going to go to Japan and get our dicks rolled up in rice.
We're going to go to Canada and not pay for health care.
Hey! Fucking get it right, America.
Jesus Christ. But speaking of live shows, we're going to be live October 27th in Cincinnati at the, what grill? I don't have it written down.
Firehouse
Grill.
Yeah, Firehouse Grill.
$10. You're going to see 3 podcasts. Twisted Philly.
Great time.
It's going to be a fantastic time. Jerry and Tracy from Hillbilly Horror Stories.
Yep.
Jerry's a raper and really fun to be around. Tracy, she's wonderful. Not quite as trashy as Jerry, but they'll all be there. The gang will all be there. I don't know Dina that well. She seems really sweet, super nice, fantastic show.
We can't say anything about her yet.
Can't say anything mean about her. There's nothing mean to say. Yeah. She's great.
Once we meet her, though.
Yeah, once we meet her.
It's all downhill.
She's going to be like, she's not going to talk to us.
I'm sorry.
That's fine. I didn't know that you guys were going to be here.
After that, before that, actually, we got the second one first. Then we have another live show on October the 20th. This is in Miamisburg, Ohio, the second annual Brohio
Halloween bash.
Yeah, Halloween smash, more like it.
Yeah, at the Lucky Star Brewery.
Lucky Star Brewery.
They make their own beers in the brewery. Okay, so the cool thing about this brewery, many, many decades ago, the top of it burnt down. Some kids got caught inside of it. They died in the top of it.
It's spoopy.
No matter how many times they wash the wall, the kids' fingerprints still appear on the wall. This is completely true. I'm not making any of this up. They have pictures of a phantom man seated at the bar in the middle of the night.
Yep.
This place is haunted all fuck.
It's fucking great.
So I pitched something to the owner there. I said I'd like to do a Ouija board experience upstairs. She said, abso-fucking-lutely not. But I'm going to try and get it to where we can get a handful of people to go upstairs for a little ghost hunt.
Yeah.
It is a creepy place for sure.
Yeah.
Older than all shit. But that one's going to be free.
Yeah, and they got banging ass tacos. You get to have some drinks with us, hang out with us, and Hunter and Haley from Murder and Such. It's going to be a good time. We're going to be there with friends. Another podcast. We actually got somebody in front of us too, which is going to be great.
It's going to be fun.
So you got 2 shows there too, and it's free.
Right.
Come down, eat some tacos, drink some beer, have some sex, whatever you want to do.
Eat Rob's taco. Eat my Rob taco. Eat my Rob taco.
All right.
Eat Rob's taco out of my ass.
Hey, whatever you want to do.
Whatever you want to do.
Buy me a drink. I'm down for anything.
And one thing they've been talking about, we have a closed group called Brohio Podcast Closed Group, Butt Chuggers Anonymous. If you would like to join the closed group, the password is Bill Wilkins. Because if you listen to our past episodes, he's the resident demon that shows up in every episode.
Yep.
He says, "My name's Bill Wilkins. I'll shit my pants." I can't exactly mimic his voice very well because he just kind of shows up and does his own thing.
Yeah, we never know.
It's a long story.
Yeah, he has a weird residency here where he just kind of comes and goes as he wants. It's like his halfway house.
Tell you what he doesn't do, and that's laundry.
Hey,
fucking piece of shit.
You might how many pair of underwear you've had to wash of his?
Yeah, a lot.
Those fucking pants.
Yes, but in the closed group, they've been talking about the heightened activity on a lot of military bases around the United States of America, and us being a conspiracy-ish podcast. Rob's vaping over there. Just hit it, Rob. Don't be scared. And us being a conspiracy-ish podcast, I want to get your thoughts. If you think there's something fishy going on, Rob, with all the a lot of people are saying there's some heightened activity, all the bases around the United States. If you think there's something going on, what you think this is linked to Alex Jones getting taken off the air?
It very well may be, but I didn't know there was anything besides what's going on at Right Pat.
Well, we talked about what's going on at Right Pat in our last Patreon episode. We think one of the fucking aliens got loose because they had a big live shooting on the base. Turns out it wasn't a live shooting, and everything's hush hush. You can check out go subscribe. I think I might have made that episode available for the $1 tier, so you'd have to some of the episodes.
$1?
Yeah.
Don't eat that fucking McChicken.
No, eat the we're way worse than a McChicken. Those are fan-fucking-tastic.
They really are good.
So if you are a listener of the show, maybe not necessarily in the closed group because you're not trashy, go ahead and let us know if you're seeing any extra going on at the bases around the United States. If you're seeing some heightened activity at the Air Force or naval bases around where you're at, maybe we can get taken off the air. Government can shut us down for trying to collaborate all these stories.
You know how important I'd feel?
That would be fucking awesome.
That'd be really cool.
Now, for our article. We talked about this in the Patreon a little bit.
He actually brought it up.
He knew it, but does a Chinese couple struggling to conceive made an eye-opening discovery when a doctor told them they'd been having sex the wrong way. The medic found that the wife was still a virgin despite 4 years of bedroom ordeal. The couple were very young.
You can't do that.
I can't.
No, you're not allowed to do that.
The couple was very young.
No.
Man was 26 and woman was 24.
No.
Stop.
Yeah, you can't do that.
I'm sorry. They were very healthy, but despite being married for 4 years, they couldn't conceive. Guizhou Province obstetrician Liu Hangmi told local paper Yin Yang Twins Evening Post. Their family was giving them a lot of stress because of it. The woman told her doctor that sex was usually quite painful. Well, when you got a big old Japanese uterus destroyer.
Chinese.
Japanese. Oh, she said it was usually quite painful, which raised concerns about a gynecological disease. Yeah, I pronounced gynecological correctly on the first try, but upon examination, it was discovered that the wife was still a virgin. Hong Mei credited her experience as a doctor for thinking to check the woman's anus. Because that's not the first thing you check when you're checking out a woman on the bottom side.
Not to correct you, but I'm pretty sure you said gynecological and it's gynecological.
Okay. Yeah, gynecological. You're absolutely right.
Oops.
Yeah.
So much for pronouncing it right.
No, it's fine. We'll double back.
Okay.
We'll not edit it out.
I love it.
Keep
going, man.
And the doctor, she thought to check the woman's anus, confirming that the couple had mistakenly been having anal sex for years. Well, good for him.
Right?
The couple, who hail from Beiji City in China's southwest, were each handed a sex education handbook and some guidelines. Or you could have them look up Brohio Podcast on iTunes and they learn all about sex in the vagina before they went home. Months later, the couple reportedly presented the doctor with a few chickens and 100 eggs. As a thank you gift, the woman finally got pregnant after an apparently more successful attempt at sexual intercourse.
Why can't we get paid in chickens and eggs?
That's a gynecological question here.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
When you're having sex and you rip it out like you're trying to start a lawnmower, and it smelled like doo-doo.
Can you imagine what the baby would have looked like if they would have had baby through her ass? It's like a turd person.
Teeth on its forehead.
It's a turd person.
Every time I take off her panties, it look like someone blow her nose in the panties.
Mr. Hanky just comes out of there.
That's all you need, man.
Yeah, I know.
As long as you take them britches off and it looks like a Krispy Kreme factory in the panties, you're good to go. It doesn't matter if you're hitting the hole in the front or the hole in the back.
Hey, still had sex.
Yeah,
Doesn't matter.
looking like a glazed donut up in that motherfucker.
What are we talking about this week?
We talking about blowing our nose in a Chinese girl's panties. That's what the fuck we talking about.
You can buy those in a vending machine.
But I've heard that Chinese guys have really small dicks.
You can't say that either.
But look it up. It's researched. I saw a China guy's dick one time.
I didn't think they were allowed to reproduce anymore. Anyways,
There's too many of them.
yeah, I thought they were like cut off. Like no, I think they allowed to have one kid.
They can have one ass baby and one vagina baby. They went straight. You gotta have the ass baby the second try. The vagina baby has to be first.
Okay, that makes sense.
The ass baby looks like one of them fucking garbage pail kids from the 90s.
Those were great.
Got fucking green snot coming out of its neck.
Yeah, I have some of those cards still.
Jesus Christ.
Found them whenever we were moving.
Oh, we're talking about Unit 731. One of the most...
That's what I call my unit.
One of the most horrid atrocities in all of the history of mankind.
And I like how you paired our story this week with a Chinese story.
You see how I did that?
Yeah, and this is a Chinese. I guess you want to call it a. What would you call it? Like
I don't know, Rob. You already shut me down. I was trying to do my Chinese accent. You're like, can't do that. Can't do that. General Tso's chicken. Can't do that. I love General Tso's chicken.
just inhumane experiments. I would assume that they did.
Right.
Yeah, that's what I would say.
Inhumane. Hell, this is like the worst.
Well, it's horrible.
This makes Auschwitz and what the Nazis did look like.
The Nazis.
That makes what they did look like child's play.
Hey, that's the same thing I was going to say. Let's get going here.
We're here at Unit 731.
All right.
I'm going to hit the record button on our backup recorder, and I'm going to stop and save real quick.
Might as well.
Are we stopped? We saved. We're not going to lose the beginning of the episode. Thank you.
Good.
Thank you for praying for us. Now, Unit 731 was a top secret project created by the Japanese government. And just to make one thing clear, America destroyed Japan in World War II. And we can hang our hat on that.
I was going to say, you're still hanging on to that.
I checked our Japanese iTunes reviews before this episode. 0.
Hey.
So I'm not scared.
Not like if they did, we could have fucking understand it anyways.
I could. You heard me speak perfect whatever earlier.
How's Chinese?
I'm really... You can't say it. It's all the same. Can't say that.
This review has some pretty pictures in it.
Yeah. Officially, this project was called the Epidemic Prevention and Water Purification Department.
Oh yeah.
That's when someone knocks on the stall door, like, hey, what are you doing in there? I'm working on the Water Purification Department, sir. If you could step away from the stall door, but I'm in here taking a big creamy dragon shit. This project was set up in 1938 in Japanese-occupied China with the aim of developing biological weapons. And that's kind of what the whole basis of this project was. They were trying to develop dirty bombs. I shouldn't say dirty bombs, but just biological warfare for the world war that was going on at the time. And I did... Last second, I found an interview on YouTube with a soldier that was at Unit 730, a scientist, I should say, or he was possibly a soldier. I can't recall correctly. And he says the main focus of the entire Unit 731 was they were trying to develop biological weapons. I don't think they were trying. I think there was some water purification elements to it. I think the guy that headed it all, General Shiro Ishii, he was highly touted for some things that he did before this for his water purification, the stuff that he discovered with that, but we'll get to that a little later on. But like we said, this all started in 1938, right before the heyday of World War II, and it was started by General Shiro Ishii. I could be pronouncing that incorrectly.
I think that looks right. Sounds right.
I don't speak Mandarin. I think I did possibly pronounce that correctly.
I think you got it right.
Okay. I do ride Yoshi when I play Mario, though, because I'm multicultural, and I don't discriminate when it comes to riding in the back of a... What is he? What is Yoshi?
Is he a dinosaur?
I think he's a donkey. I think he might be a donkey.
He's a lizard donkey.
He's a green donkey. Now, General Ishii, he ran the unit and was also the head surgeon and medic. It's said that at least 3,000 men, women, and yes, children were subjected to cruel and inhumane experiments, and they were often referred to as logs. Now, Rob,
Okay.
whenever we were talking about logs,
Different type of log.
well, it says in my next part of the notes here, it says the phrase, how many logs fell, would often be heard amongst guards and workers to refer to the deceased, and it was a running joke as the unit's cover-up story was to be said. They called it a lumberyard, so
Jeez.
like, how many logs fell?
This also fit within your analogy of knocking on the stall door.
Yeah. And if someone asked me tomorrow how many logs fell, I would probably be like 1 or 2.
3 on a good day.
I'm one of those guys that when it comes out, it's just, it looks like a big cow foot. It's just fucking, I don't do this rabbit poop and stuff, man.
Oh, man.
I feel bad for people that shoot like little machine gun BBs, just like, yeah. That's how women poop, like rabbits. Did you know that?
No, I didn't. The more you know.
I like to watch women poop.
God damn it.
No, I don't. But yeah, they referred to it was inhumanely, they referred to them as logs. They were science experiments. That's what they were to them. And I didn't put much of a disclaimer on this episode. We talked about it a little bit, but these are some of the most inhumane acts in the history of all mankind, the stuff that they did here. And this episode may not necessarily be for the faint of heart. This is kind of a popular topic. You might have heard it covered by the likes of, podcasts that are better than us. But we're going to cover it a little differently, because that's what we do here at Brohio. We kind of make fun of stuff.
Yeah, we don't really take much serious.
All right, until they come knock on your door. Jesus Christ. There were a lot of countries that were involved with Unit 731 as far as being people that were held captive at Unit 731. There were the Chinese, Soviets, Mongolians, the Koreans, and other Allied POWs were amongst the victims that were provided for the military police. And I touch on it at the end of the episode. There were Americans that were held, allegedly held captive by Unit 731, and they did, give their testimony of what they saw and what happened to them at Unit 731. And our U.S. government silenced them and didn't listen to them. But I will touch on that a little later.
Good old government for you there.
And I'll touch on you later if you play your beer wrong.
I'm trying.
All right, tell them about the different divisions of Unit 731.
Yeah, we have 8 different divisions in total for 731. The first division, we got, oh, Jesus Christ, of course you're giving me these weird-ass words.
Bacteriological
research. Second division is warfare research and field experiments. Third division is water filter production. Fourth division, bacteria mass production and storage. Fifth, educational division. Supplies division. General affairs. Clinical diagnoses.
Yeah, so they were doing a lot of different things here as far as science experiments go. And at this time, they were not the only ones doing horrible human atrocities like this.
Yeah, I like the bacteria mass production and storage.
Yeah, and
that's fun.
You're going to learn all about that here a little later on. The stuff that they were doing, oh, Jesus Christ, man, it's fucked up, okay? There is no one that left out of there without a pink sock. All their assholes were hanging out.
Ooh, poor things.
You're going to need to put that back up inside you before you take a shit, or everything going to fall out. Too late. You ever taken a shit and then stood up and turned around and your left kidney's laying there? And it's like, hey, put me back in. Give me a cigarette first, but put me back in there.
It's funny, that's what I imagined a kidney to sound like.
The brain's like,
the water's cold.
Yeah.
Help me.
Some people's brains probably talk like this. But
yeah.
Our brain's like, hey, if you quit hitting your head on stuff so hard, sound like you're hitting your head on another man's belly button last night, swashing me around in there. Mountain Dew's good. Yeah, I'm just a big old bowl of Jell-O. Why were you jerking off the giraffes last night? Shh. Jesus Christ.
Don't tell all my secrets.
If my brain could talk. He would have the podcast.
That's why we have a podcast.
He would be the famous podcaster.
Oh, man.
Not that I'm a famous podcaster.
We're so famous.
Fucking jokes. Now, this was a big secret covert operation. The secrecy of Unit 731, it kind of always remained, it was their top priority for this to be completely under wraps. Members of the unit were transported in and out of Pingfan. I think that's how you pronounce that.
Okay.
Pingfan.
Pingfan.
I think it's one of the major cities there in China. I'm pretty... please don't ever...
That sounds a little too white to
hang
be a city.
your hat on our pronunciations of stuff. But members of the unit were transported in and out of Pingfan in covered cargo trucks, while the truck registration tags never remained the same, being changed for protection frequently. So they were trying to, throw off their path. If they were doing stuff that was, not as fucked up as what they were doing, what's the need to hide your truck registration tags, especially back then?
Yep.
Nowadays, they just, Google you up on the computer. When a cop gets behind you, they have a computer in their car.
Yeah.
And they type in your license plate, and immediately it pings back to their computer screen. It has the registered owner's name, address, driving record, if you have any warrants, if you have a carry concealed weapon license.
A little bit of everything.
All that instantly. But back then, it wasn't necessarily like that, I don't think.
Yeah.
They could have had computers in their cars back then in Japan. They're way far ahead of us. They're really good at math, but they're just now listening to Metallica Black Album. So that's kind of weird how that works out.
Isn't that funny?
They can fucking multiply their assholes off.
They've had the iPhone 15 for like 5 years.
Yeah.
They fucking don't know what a Maroon 5 is.
Yeah. Maroon 5, I think that's what they put in their Diet Pepsi over there. My daughter brings home fraction homework, and she's like, hey, can you help me? And I'll fake a seizure and shit my pants to get out of it. She's 9. I'm a lot bigger than her. I could probably, honestly, straight up, I could probably beat her in a fight.
Like, I went to school 43 years ago. You think I remember this shit? How fast that'll, smash your self-confidence when you have to Google how to do math?
What? But how fortunate are we as parents that we have that available to us, that we can Google this shit and help them with their homework? Because I haven't got a fucking clue. And all the shit, when I was in, Mr. Doll, fuck you. All the shit.
Yeah, we do have the internet. If I asked my dad for help, he would beat the fuck out of me and put a cigarette out on my neck.
All the shit that I sat there and I said, I am never going to use this. And he's like, oh, yeah, you're right. I've never used any of it. Now, if you would have taught me to calculate the square footage of a bedroom, yes, I have used that to see how many people I can fit in a regular orgy or how many people I can fit in a small orgy. But I do not use trigonometry. Whenever I go to the fucking Kroger, they say $60 for your groceries, and I give them $60. I don't, stand on my fucking head and start multiplying shit. Fuck math.
I think this was like our first big tangent.
Yeah.
I love it.
People like it.
Yeah, they fucking hate it.
Right. But
sorry.
Back to the topic here. They were big for the germ contamination at the Unit 731. And they first started out so they would infect the people with the germs so they could do experiments on them. They initially started off infecting the people using the water system. They would infect the water with germs.
That's crazy.
And at one point, I did read that Pingfin was producing, they had in their possession 300 kilograms of plague germs and bacteria at one point, deliberately infecting the patients at Unit 731 with the plague, anthrax, chloria, or is it
cholera?
Cholera. Maybe it's Maybelline and other pathogens.
I would not use that shampoo.
Right. So they were just giving them it. Who wants some anthrax? Who wants some cholera? Cholera. Who wants it? Come and get it. We got it all.
Chloriola.
Is it cool if I suck on your chloriolas real quick? Because I'm more of, some guys, they an ass man. But I'm a chloriola man, you know what I'm saying? I don't like them little pepperoni nipples. I'm a bologna nipple man. Let me put them bologna nips in my mouth. You like bologna nips, Rob?
I don't discriminate.
I don't like them perky tits. I like it to look like a fucking fried egg hanging from a nail. Just a big.
You like a big old bag of steaks.
I look like they've been. I like my house to look like it's lived in. I like my tits to look like they've been lived in. Okay. I like them haggard, like an old piece of beef jerky just hanging there.
Wide hips.
Like they may have lived 3 years in a log cabin in the backwoods of Tennessee.
Just eating mice.
Mice in their own teeth.
Oh, shit.
Hey, Dale, I think I swallowed a tooth. That's going to make you real desirable for someone one day, Phyllis. It'll make you real fucking desirable when I die and you leave me and you need to find your new boyfriend in Ohio. Tell him you've been swallowing your own teeth and shitting them out.
Man.
I don't know what's going on.
I don't know.
Oh, so they use the rats and fleas to infect people.
Jeez.
Fucking hard right turn here, Rob. The water wasn't good enough. So
my sinuses are really bad. I'm sorry. I'm like sniffling and fucking coughing.
These people don't deserve an answer. They used the rats and fleas when the water wasn't good enough. Ishii discovered his greatest ally, the flea.
Of course.
Ishii understood that fleas ingest around 5,000 plague organisms once feeding from a rat suffering from disease. And, quote, when the flea stops sucking blood from its victim, it may drive back into the bite wound highly infective blood. The infective flea may regurgitate as many as 10,000 to 24,000 organisms at one biting.
Oof.
Some of these usually enter the blood of the new host who, if susceptible, contracts bubonic or septicemia plague. Ishii found that an infective flea with its blocked gullet could live and carry its deadly bite for up to 1 month, and a single bite was found to be sufficient to cause infection.
I love the word gullet. It's such a good.
I'm gonna put my dick
word.
in your gullet. Ew.
Oh gosh.
Bring it on. Ishii accumulated most of his subjects from detention camp called Hogween and Pingfan. Hogween. Hogfoot. Hogdick. Hogween. There was also, they got a lot of people from, they use a lot of Russian spies, is what they call them.
Motherland.
And that's kind of what these scientists and stuff, they thought they were doing a service for their country because they were told all of these people that were at Unit 731 were spies and people that had committed treason against the country. So here they're thinking, these fucking people are going to die anyways, so we might as well cut their asshole out and sew it to their nose, amongst other things. That's just what they said they were spies. There was a lot of there's Russians who would not cooperate or give any information after being housed at Hogween, but they were sent straight to Unit 731. Many were tricked into thinking they were gaining employment. So those 70% of the humans used were Chinese. Unsuspecting and innocent people were also tricked into clutches of Unit 731. Some were lured by the prospect of employment. Young boys, mothers, and children, even pregnant women, were trapped.
The old bait and switch.
Craigslist.
Yep.
You want to buy a baby grand piano? Sure, I'll be over there in 10 minutes. Why do you have a leather mask on for? Help you look inside this grand piano real quick that you're about to buy with all that money in your back pocket.
This hits too close to home.
That back pocket right next to your asshole. Come on in. When looking into the cells where they had like a prison style setup, okay, for all these. I don't want to call them logs.
Falling logs?
No, I don't want to call them falling logs.
Okay.
We'll call them prisoners.
That works.
When looking into the cells of the prisoners, some of them had rotting limbs. There were bits of bone protruding through skin, blackened by necrosis. Others were sweating in high fever, writhing in agony, or moaning in pain. Those who suffered from respiratory infections coughed insistently. Some were bloated. Some were emaciated. I'm sorry, I knew that word.
You're all right.
That's what the neighbors say when they see my dog. You feed him? No, he's emaciated. And others, and I hear that word on the Animal Planet all the time. I feed my dogs. Don't call the police, please. And others were blistered and had open wounds. Many of the cells were communal. There's a bunch of people. They're just crammed into these fucking cells together. An infected person would be put with healthy prisoners to see how easily disease is spread. And
That's so fucked up.
Like we said before, they were infecting them with all kinds of different diseases. There was, everything that they could conjure up. They were infecting people with it so they could essentially do science experiments on them while they were infected with the diseases. In desperation, prisoners would try to practice primitive preventative medicine to escape, I guess, getting all the other ones sick. Female prisoners were raped daily and was almost routine among the guards. The doctors used various methods of dispersing the diseases. They could be sprayed invisibly in gas chambers or food, drinks, chocolates, melons, or crackers. So there you are, a prisoner. You haven't eaten in days, and they finally give you food, and lo and behold, they've infected you with syphilis or
anthrax. They're putting anthrax in it.
Bubonic plague, all kinds of fucked up shit. But
you're shitting out frogs. Locusts come out of your eyes.
Now, one thing we kind of skipped past right there real fast. I said the rape word. The rape.
Yeah.
The raping was rampant. Okay, so they were just. We're gonna touch on it later. I guess that's a.
You can't say.
Fuck.
Yeah, you can't do that with.
So we'll hold off for now on the raping. Jeez, much as it hurts my heart, but we're gonna get into the experiments.
Okay.
So at the end of the day, this was a scientific research laboratory, and they conducted science experiments. Whether you want to call them inhumane or not, they were absolutely inhumane. But that was the name of the game for this place. Is they were conducting science experiments on people, and they were using, the facade that this was a water purification project. When in all actuality, they were cutting people's organs out and doing all types of fucked up shit.
Seeing how fast they could fucking spread disease.
Yeah.
Wild.
It was like,
it's a disease factory.
I can't say it any better, Rob. Human test subjects in Unit 731 were strapped down to operating tables and then dissected while still living without any anesthetic. Now, this is called vivisection, which if you look up Vivi or Vivid,
okay,
Vivid is a really good porn company. Back in the day, I had a lot of their VHSs. Really good company, but vivisection is when you it means to cut something up while it's alive. I've dissected a frog. I had a lot of friends that dissected a pig. I never got around to doing that, thank God, because I didn't even like dissecting the frog.
It smelled so bad.
I dissect a vagina with my penis all the time.
Hey-yo.
Okay, so yeah, they're cutting these people up while they're still alive with no anesthetics. Organs were removed and reattached in strange ways. And the stomach would be removed and the esophagus would be attached directly to the lower intestines. So when they would do that, you're essentially connecting someone's mouth straight to their asshole.
Human centipede.
So theoretically, you could put a pretty good-sized chicken tender in their mouth and just reach in their butthole and pull it out. Just straight shot. Or if you didn't, I guess they probably didn't have chicken tenders then.
Yeah, I would say not.
I would say a sushi roll. Dynamite roll is delicious. Are you a fan of sushi?
Love sushi.
Oh, man, I love it so much.
Love it.
It's so good. I don't even care if it's cheap sushi. I'll still eat the ass out of it.
Oh, man. I've had some bad experience with cheap sushi, but I'll still buy it.
Yes.
Gas station sushi.
But yeah, and I am not making this up. These are the type of experiments they were doing with the vivisection and all the horrible things they were. It seemed like they were mocking. They're trying to mock God, I guess. They would cut off certain arms or legs and put them on other parts of the body, and they were really doing this shit, man. Like, this is stuff that you think you would see in a horror movie or a video game, but this is what they were actually doing at Unit 731. Pieces of lungs and other tissue would be cut out while the doctors observed the subject, who was usually screaming in agony, which goes back to the point that they were always awake and felt everything.
Ridiculous.
Whenever these experiments were conducted. This continued until the subject died, at which point a new one would be rolled in for examination. Doctors in Unit 731 hacked the limbs off their human test subjects just to see what would happen.
Okay.
Jesus. They would watch people bleed out to calculate how long it took after they cut the limb off for the person to bleed out.
Let's cut off this guy's neck and see how long it takes.
How long do you think you can live without your wiener? Oh my God. I can't even wrap the horror that these fucking people went through. I mean, God rest their souls. They're all dead now.
No doubt.
And there weren't any that lived, but then you have some Americans that stepped forward a little later on. They said, I was a test subject at Unit 730, but leave it up to the Americans to make some fucking stupid shit up like that.
We would. It's always about us.
Some guy from North Dakota. I survived Unit 731. I'm 24 years old. It happened 60 years ago. I'm also a time traveler.
Oh, man, there's always those people.
I'm also bisexual. I'm a wizard. I like World of Warcraft.
A bisexual wizard, I like that.
All of these amputations where they would cut the legs off, cut the arms off, all these amputations were performed without anesthesia, so the victim felt everything and was fully aware during the operations. Sometimes severed limbs were even reattached to other persons' bodies. Reattached to other parts of the person's body. But there were also some reports I read that they would reattach, you cut a fucking leg off.
You ever wanted to have a foot for a dick?
You want to use your toes to pick your nose? I can make it happen for you. Welcome to Unit 731. My name's General Ishii.
Here's a nose coming out of your asshole.
Man, this is so bad. Now, this is a quote from... this is taken from one of the workers that worked there at 731. Quote, this fellow knew that it was over for him, and so he didn't struggle when they led him into the room and tied him down. But when I picked up the scalpel, when I say worker, this is someone that actually cut on people.
Oh, fuck.
But when I picked up the scalpel, that's when he began screaming.
You
I
think?
cut him open from the chest to the stomach, and he screamed terribly, and his face was all twisted in agony. He made this unimaginable sound. He was screaming so horribly. But then finally he stopped. This was all in a day's work for all the surgeons, but it really left an impression on me because it was my first time.
What's crazy is that right off the bat, that guy, he probably didn't stop making noise because he died. He probably went into shock first, and then just sat there, and then just eventually died.
Yeah, Jesus Christ.
That's horrible.
Now, I didn't put it in my notes, but he did go on to say that after that first, I guess, dissection or vivisection, that he was cool. You know, the first one kind of fucked him up, but after that, he was fine. It was kind of a second nature thing. He had no problem just randomly cutting different people up. Oh, tell him about the pressure test, Rob.
Sure, pressure test now. As a diver goes deeper into the ocean, they have to regulate the increased pressure on their body. So this is going into that. When you go, it's exactly that. As you go farther,
some of our listeners might not have been underwater before.
As you go farther into the water's going to exude a lot of pressure on your body.
Yeah,
and you got to release that pressure or adjust the pressure so that you don't die.
That's how the people from Titanic died, not from drowning, but from the pressure.
Yeah. So now think about that pressure increasing until the point where the person's eyes pop out of their sockets. So that is exactly what the doctors did to people at the Unit 731. They would lock their human test subjects into high-pressure chambers and pretty much just watched as the pressure would literally crush these people. That's horrible. It's like when you think it can't get worse, like it's getting worse. I mean, I think I'd maybe rather have something like that happen than, an eyeball glued to my asshole.
I know. You were really worried about us cutting your wiener off today and making you eat it. But
we're just going to make your eyes pop out of your head now.
It's going to get a lot worse after that.
Ugh.
If you don't bleed out, we're going to let you have lunch. After lunch.
It may or may not have gonorrhea in it.
After lunch, we're going to put you on a roller coaster. And that's where you're going to die.
Oh, man. I'd be kind of torn on that.
Yeah. I don't even know what you would have to do to a person to exert that type of pressure to make their eyes pop out of their head just from pressure. And I'm assuming they weren't just crushing their skulls. That would be too easy. There had to have been some type of apparatus that would exert so much pressure on the skull that it would kill them.
They would have to do something like that. I remember reading, and this may not be the exact measurement, but it was something around there. But there was in the measurement itself, the analogy I want to say is exact, but I don't know if it's at this depth. But I don't remember what the footage where the Titanic sank, like where it sits at now. I think they said that something like the pressure at that sea level is something like an elephant standing on a nickel.
Holy shit.
Like it's like that much, and it may be higher up. I may be just confusing the two, but it's like pressure like that. Like you're the nickel and you're like an elephant standing on you. So that's crazy.
God, that's so fucking terrible.
I wouldn't want to sign up for that.
No. They're also doing saltwater experiments. Apparently, this experiment was an attempt to see if seawater could be used as a substitute for saline solution.
Here's a quick hint. No.
No, and to me, it just feels like they were waking up and thinking of the absolute most.
Yeah.
And I don't think they were just being maniacal. Obviously, they were maniacal, but I don't think they were trying to find the cruelest ways to do things. I just think that they genuinely wanted to know the answers to this shit, and they would never have an opportunity to do stuff like this ever again. And I did read that scientists and people of education were flocking to come work for Unit 731 because they would get the opportunity to do stuff like this. And at no other point in time in their career or in their life would they be able to do something like this.
It's like Hostel.
It really is.
The movie? Yeah.
Yeah. These seawater injections proved fatal, but the scientists didn't stop there. They decided to try injections of animal fluids like urine and blood.
Oh, God.
You ever had a horse piss in your ass before?
Oh, man.
Yo, you big old black stallion about to come up there. Take me a little pee-pee up in your booty hole. Bitch.
You gotta have the bitch in there.
They also injected people with air to calculate how long it took for them to develop embolisms.
Oh, God.
Some of these injections seem to have no real scientific purpose whatsoever, like injecting horse urine into a person's kidneys. So, for instance,
it's just like drinking Bud Ice.
It's worse than Bud Ice. Yeah. So, for my birthday, I think I want a horse to pee in my kidneys. Where do I go to get that done? Can I do that like a tattoo? There's some tattoo places that could probably get that done for you.
Oh, I would guarantee it. I can name a couple of them.
I can't get a horse to pee in your kidneys, but I could probably pee in your kidneys for you if that's what you really want. They would also, and this is where it gets fucking horrible, man. All right,
it's getting worse and worse.
End of the episode. Thanks for joining us. They're doing some frostbite experiments. Doctors today know that the best way to treat frostbite is to piss on it.
Horse piss.
Yeah. To treat the best way to treat frostbite is not by rubbing it, but by immersing it in water just over 100 degrees Fahrenheit, but never over 122 degrees, because that'll fucking burn you. How do they know this? Well, it turns out that it's because Japanese doctors at Unit 731 were intentionally giving people frostbite and then testing various treatments for it.
Oh, God.
And there was, I hate to say it, there were some medical advances, scientific advances that did come from Unit 731. It's fucking horrible, but there were people that had to suffer for this. And I would have to imagine, even to this day, there's certain clinical trials that go on. I know there's medicines that don't make it onto the market, but they are tried in clinical trials. And when you hear commercials for certain things, they say this may cause bleeding diarrhea, gonorrhea. This may cause unbearable cramps, vomiting, upset stomach, seizures, strokes. And it says all of these side effects. And the reason they know that these medications cause these side effects is because during clinical trials, someone experienced these things. So I think there's stuff like, in my mind, there's stuff like this that's still going on.
Right.
I can't wrap my brain around it.
You just get $100 for it now and
yeah.
Can leave.
There's some
with
people,
your seizures.
Yeah. Sorry about your wiener. I'm trying to find you a new one. People would be left out in the cold or dunked in cold water so that their limbs would freeze and develop frostbite. So they would submerge them in water. There was freezing weather, and they would completely submerge these people in like little bathtubs. They would just keep on dumping water on them until their limbs essentially froze. They were then subjected to all types of treatment, some of which proved fatal.
I want to know what the treatments were.
Yeah.
You got frostbite on your finger, here's some mustard.
No, I did. They tried to light certain limbs on fire.
Oh, shit.
Rob dropped the vape.
They'd try to light them on fire.
Yeah, light the limbs on fire. So if you got frostbite in your hand, they would just try and fucking light it on fire, like a flamethrower. Yeah.
That seems like a wonderful idea.
Yeah. They were then subjected to, like we said, treatment that sometimes proved fatal. Other victims had their frozen limbs thawed so that the scientists could observe the impact of the rot that would occur to the body. Okay, so I didn't write this down, but the way they would determine whether the limbs were frozen enough is there were certain officers that
At least they had a good test for that.
right. They would take like a log, a 2x4, not another person when I say log.
Okay.
They'd take like a big piece of wood, and they would hit the limb. And when it sounded like the limb was made of wood itself or some type of hollow substance, that's when they knew the limb was frozen enough. So when they say they were freezing people's arms,
Wow.
they just weren't numbing the tips of their fingertips. They were freezing to the bone. Freezing to the fucking bone, their arms and their legs. To the point where when they got hit with this large piece of wood, it would sound like a piece of wood, wood hitting wood.
Jeez.
And if you would like to hear the sound of wood hitting wood, please subscribe to our Patreon, patreon.com/Brawlhile Podcast, where you can hear Rob and I hit wood together. Flesh wood, nonetheless, but wood.
You said butt wood.
If you are a fan of hitting wood together, write us, brawlhilepodcast@gmail.com. We'd love to hear about it.
Go no further.
Right, sorry.
We're your wood slapping experts.
Yeah. And that's just they were literally fucking like a turkey out of a deep freezer, man. That's how much they were freezing these limbs whenever they would do these experiments. And there's lots of pictures online. Obviously, we're a podcast, so that doesn't do much for the visual representation, but you can look it up. There's pictures from these atrocities of how bad these frostbite, the fingers and the toes. I mean, they were black from the wrist up, and they were bubbled up like they were swollen from a snake bite.
Right.
Oh God,
I don't like it.
Yeah, they're doing one of the major things they hung their hat on there is they were doing weapons testing. Many biological weapons were tested at Unit 731, like the plague bombs, which were filled with rice, grain, and infected fleas.
Okay.
That's not even the tip of that iceberg, Rob. I'm going to hit that later for you. Not only were subjects forcibly infected with diseases, but they were also tied to stakes and then roasted alive to find the best range for flamethrowers.
Okay. You don't need a human to figure that out.
You can use a cat. Use my cat. I have two cats. One I don't like. One I really like a lot. You cannot use that cat.
And using Pumpy.
You can check out the closed group live I did last week, and you can see Pumpkin. She's in there. But
oh, Pumpy.
There's so many different things you could use besides a real human for that.
I mean, you could already use like a butchered pig.
Mm-hmm.
Because they use, with a lot of things, a lot of tests that they do now, they'll do that with.
Right.
Because it's, I guess its skin is similar to ours.
Right. And that wasn't the only thing they were doing. They were bombarded with grenades and explosive at varying angles and distances to see the impact.
Hold this grenade.
Yeah. Whatever you do, don't drop this after I take the pin out. In addition, Japanese soldiers would practice using bayonets on live human bodies. To test the sharpness of their swords, they would decapitate victims. Jesus Christ.
Whatever happened, let's see if I can shave with this. Instead of, let me see if I could stab you.
Oh, so they were just tying people to sticks and fucking stabbing them out.
You could stab someone with a butter knife, let alone a fucking bayonet. You know what's going to cut and kill.
You guys ever seen a dead body before?
I could kill someone with a spoon if I wanted to.
Jesus. Now, this is one of my favorite experiments they would do. This is called...
This one I don't fucking understand either. What's the point?
Scientists conducted they would hang people upside down. Okay, they would just dangle people from their feet. They conducted this test to see how long a person could stand on their head before they die. They just strung people up, fucking upside down.
You want to see a good party trick?
Yeah. And they timed how long it took for them to fucking choke to death.
That's so fucked.
So for all the fucking times my brother held me upside down and repeatedly punched me in the fucking bag, and I told him, I can't fucking breathe, man. I can't fucking breathe. I was chubby. My belly would fold up over my face when you hung my titties.
Don't do keg stands.
My big old fat titties would fold up over my face. I couldn't breathe. I'm boxing these fun bags out of my face, trying to breathe upside down. My brother's like, "Are you like that, fat boy?" And I said, "I'm gonna fucking die here." He said, "You're talking. You're not gonna suffocate. As long as you can talk, you're breathing." I said, "I'm gonna fucking die, man. I'm gonna perish." I was right. I could have died.
You could have.
I'm calling him after this.
Did we get to see? Did we figure out how long it takes for you to hang upside down and die?
No, I don't have any. Well,
what's the fucking point of the research then?
Well,
they never figured it out.
No, they did. They did find out all of the answers to all of these questions. But once they were under the gun, once they knew that fucking America had the big dick, fat boy, little man, they were coming with the nukes. They fucking destroyed this place and killed all the and buried
besides the Americans.
Yes, right. And they got rid of all the research. They would also do starvation experiments. This experimentation of starvation sought to determine with scientific precision how long a human could survive in various conditions without food and or water. While not as imaginative as the other choices on Unit 731's roulette wheel of horrible deaths, still a fucking way to go, man.
As someone who loves food, that would be particularly hard for me.
I wild out the Golden Corral. Don't even care.
I like this next one. It seems so like good.
Tell them about it.
Well, the next one we got on the list is the STD study. You think they're doing some good for you, but yeah. The researchers studied how syphilis would affect the resulting baby's health and how it could harm the mother's reproductive system. So although we don't know the number of children born in captivity, it is known that none had survived when the unit dissolved in 1945. So while diseases like tuberculosis and smallpox could be injected, syphilis and gonorrhea required a different method of infection. This was done using a male and a female, of course.
Not in China.
One of whom was infected. The couple was forced to have sexual intercourse under threat of being shot. The infected bodies were later vivisected to see the internal results. So to learn what they needed to know, doctors assigned Unit 731 infected prisoners with diseases, or with the disease, and withheld treatment to observe the uninterrupted course of the illness. So they would infect them and then just let it run its course.
Let it run its course. But not only, okay, so they would, the guards, the syphilis and gonorrhea was rampant among the guards.
Right.
And they were raping.
Because they were raping. Yeah.
They were rapers. They were raping all the female prisoners. And then they weren't using female prisoners to infect male prisoners, so they would forcibly put males in cells together and force them to have sex with one another. Sign me up for that. Give me the syphilis, Big Daddy. Put it in there.
God damn it.
Not even gonna try and get away. That little.
You're sitting there just like, no.
Yeah.
No, please.
He showed me that.
Opening your ass a little more.
Big old Chinese hanger. That Chinese lantern. Did you got a dick behind them pubes or what, buddy? Jesus Christ. You ever heard of Mach 4? Trim that shit up. Now, and that's, like Rob said, they would just let this stuff run its course.
Wild.
But then there was all kinds of pictures of mothers that were cut wide open with the baby still in the womb, and they would do this specifically to see what the syphilis and gonorrhea did to the mother's reproductive system and what it did to the baby.
Fucking crazy.
It is very crazy. All right, so the meat and potatoes of what they were doing at Unit 731 was the germ infections. And they weren't, you can't just take a handful of germs and throw it at people. You gotta.
It doesn't really work that way.
There has to be more creative means there. The main goal of this entire project was to create weapons filthy enough to kill everyone in the entire fucking world. At one point, Unit 731 had enough infectious germs and viruses on hand that they could have theoretically killed everyone in the entire world. And that's not an exaggeration. They had enough fucking germs and whatever else, they could have infected the entire population of the world. That's insane to me.
Yeah, that's wild.
To breed the most lethal strains possible. So you don't want the junior syphilis. You want the mega syphilis. You want the mega gonorrhea, okay? So to breed the most lethal strains possible, doctors monitor patients for rapid onset of symptoms and quick progression. Prisoners who pulled through were shot, but those who got sickest, the fastest, were bled to death on a mortuary table, and their blood was used to transfect other prisoners, the sickest of whom would themselves be bled to transfer the most violent strain to yet another generation. So they were just, whoever was the sickest, they would take all the blood from them.
Oh my gosh.
Give that blood to someone else, make them the sickest, and then take the blood from, and they just they were making sicker. It's like Bebop and Rocksteady and Ninja Turtles too, okay?
Right. They're like mutants. They're super sick mutants.
They could rip the fucking car doors off
right.
and kill the Ninja Turtles because they were mutants, okay? And this is essentially what they were making here, were mutants. One member of Unit 731 later recalled that there was a very sick and unresisting prisoners would be laid out on the slab so a line could be inserted into their carotid artery when most of the blood had been siphoned off and the heart was too weak to pump anymore. An officer in leather boots, and listen to me here, Rob.
I'm listening.
An officer in leather boots climbed onto the table and jumped onto the victim's chest with enough force to crush the rib cage, whereupon another dollop of blood would spurt into the container.
You had me at leather boots, but then you lost me at jumping on the rib cage.
Good to the last drop. Just like I like my coffee, right?
Oof.
When the plague bacillus had been bred to what was felt to be a sufficiently lethal caliber, the last generation of prisoners to be infected were exposed to huge numbers of fleas.
Oh my god, it's like a fucking horrible jigsaw trap.
I can't stop scratching my dick. The fleas were then packed in dust and sealed inside clay bomb casings. On October 4th, 1940, Japanese bombers deployed these casings, each loaded with about, 30,000 fleas that had each sucked blood from a dying prisoner over the Chinese village of Kuzhou. We'll go with that. Kuzhou. Witnesses to the raid recall a fine reddish dust settling on surface all over town, followed by a rash of painful flea bites that afflicted nearly everyone in the village. It is known that more than 2,000 civilians died of plague following this attack, and that another 1,000 or so died in nearby Yiwu after the plague was carried there by sick railway workers.
Holy shit.
Fucking flea bombs, man.
That is wild.
I hate fucking fleas, too.
Damn, that is wild.
That is insane that they use the bugs packed up in the bombs like that for that shit. Other attacks using anthrax killed approximately 6,000 more people in the area. With the Russians closing in near the end of World War II, the secretive project was disbanded. So they were breathing hot on their neck about all this shit, and they fucking broke it up.
Oh, it's crazy.
Now there was one story I read about a person that remained so they dropped these bombs in these villages. Mm-hmm. And years later, there were still many people around that were infected by the plague and the I guess the remnants of these fucking viruses and whatnot.
Right.
And the woman they interviewed, this is some 40 or 50 years later, when they caught up with her, she was coming out of the field and both of her legs were like rotted to the bone, and she was still walking. And she did the interview, and she said that her family had disowned her. There was no one in the community that would talk to her any longer. And the people that were the people that were infected by that attack back then,
yeah,
they were kind of a group after that. So they lived in this village.
Don't go near old bone legs.
Yeah. Old knobby knees. Boy, she good for a real slick blowjob, but stay away from anything below the waist. And she said that they would only conversate with people that were also infected from this incident.
They're like fucking mutants.
And they were essentially castaways from society.
Yeah.
And her legs were, she couldn't get treatment. She couldn't afford treatment. You know, she was.
They call her Femur Frida.
No. She was literally scrounging by, you know, out. Did you want the bone-in wings or boneless wings? I'll have the boneless wings, please.
They're just chicken nuggets.
Yeah. And she was fucking just cast away because of this. No one would talk to her.
That sucks.
No RESPECT for her at all. R.I.P. Aretha. Whoopi Goldberg. Was that Whoopi Goldberg or Aretha Franklin? But the interview was just sad, man. She'd been dealing with this for decades upon decades, you know.
Yeah, that's really sad. 'Cause, I mean, there's it's not like it's something that was. I mean, even if it was something that was done on her own accord, that still, you know, sucks that she's kind of like ostracized for it. But
and it was crazy to think that all those years later that specific area was still affected by all that.
Right. I don't know, man.
Sorry, taking a drag of that pumpkin.
That's all right.
With the Russians closing in, like we said, they decided to fucking axe this piece of shit. It was time to shut down Unit 731. Now, all the scientists and doctors had to abandon ship and hurry and leave town. So they were in Mongolia, and they all shot back to Japan at that point, where the motherland. Every member of Unit 731 was sworn to complete secrecy. They vowed to take the facts of the experiment to their graves. And that is not the case, because we have one interview here. It's about 2.5 minutes. I'll play it real quick. This guy, he was part of Unit 731, and the BBC from British Columbia. Where's the BBC from?
That's England.
Great Britain. Yeah, not British Columbia. What the fuck am I talking about? That's
here. Canada.
Yeah, from England.
I guess you get big black cocks everywhere.
We love those here at the Brahaya Podcast. If you'd like to send us a picture of your big black cock,
of your BBC.
Our email address is brahayapodcast@gmail.com. Make sure you send that as a JPEG or a PNG.
BBG, LWC, whatever you want. Whatever you got.
Whatever you want.
Whatever you got.
The bigger, the better. But here's the interview with Hong Xipao. Correct pronunciation. Look it up, motherfuckers.
There are many who would rather the whole truth was never told. We've come to the Japanese city of Kobe, to the office of Toshimi Mizobuchi. Sarita McNaught from the BBC. My translator, Mai. Konnichiwa. May we come in? We'd heard that unlike Unit 731 scientists, he's prepared to speak openly. Sangato, we've come to talk to you about Unit 731. This was the man in charge of destroying the evidence of Unit 731, of burning down the complex and killing the 400 prisoners. He organizes the annual staff reunion party. He showed us a photo of last year's event.
Prisoners were killed in the course of the research at Unit 731.
This is our unit's top secret. It's always been very closely guarded.
At first, he regaled us with tales of the unit's great achievements. It was a water purification unit, a hygiene bureau, a medical college. He finally owned up 3 hours later. Yes, its main purpose was germ warfare. And prisoners, the logs, were used in experiments. But then, they were all spies.
Our unit, Unit 731, was ordered to carry out executions.
死刑にしてしまわないかんわけですね。
So, since we had to execute the logs anyway, we believed that it was, in fact, an honourable act on our part to give them the opportunity to offer their bodies to contribute to the development of the human race.
もったいないでは信じられておりましたね。
Was there ever a time when you thought the work you were doing at 731 was wrong, was inhumane?
ありません。
No.
So there you heard it. That guy, he did some fucking horrible shit. He does not speak good English. Good thing there was a translator there. But like we said, every member of Unit 731 was swore to secrecy. Their lives were threatened if they ever opened their mouths about the experiment. They were also prohibited from entering public work in Japan ever again. This is a pretty cool fact. They were all issued potassium cyanide in the event of a major capture. So General Ishii said, everyone involved with this experiment, everyone gets potassium cyanide. You get some, you get some, you get some, you get some.
Just little capsules.
He did the Oprah giveaway.
Yeah.
Potassium cyanide for everybody.
You did.
And in the event that the government cracked down and said, we're going to start fucking going through this shit and we're going to, figure out why they killed all these innocent people, they had an immediate means of suicide at any given moment. That's pretty fucking crazy to me. And there was a small crew that was sent in to blow up the compound, and you did hear, and that guy alleged that he was part of the small crew that was sent in to blow up Unit 731. They were also tasked with destroying all the evidence. The buildings were so solidly built that they had a hard time destroying the buildings. I do believe some of the buildings still stand to this day. And if you want to talk about paranormal activity, I would have to imagine that would be a fucking hotbed for.
I bet it's horrible.
And when I read about certain paranormal things, other countries don't buy into the paranormal quite as deeply as Americans do. So
yeah.
Whereas this could potentially be a hotbed for paranormal activity. It's
I think the Japanese do. I don't know about the Chinese so much.
I'm not sure. The Americans finally arrived in Japan in 1945 to go along with the surrender of Japan. Amongst them were Lieutenant Colonel Murray Sanders, who was a microbiologist and a member of America's Military Center for Biological Weapons.
Did you say Colonel Sanders?
Lieutenant Colonel motherfucking Sanders.
The one, the only.
Lieutenant Colonel, if you don't put another goddamn honey and barbecue sauce in that bag, I'm going to burn this motherfucking place down, Sanders.
Famous bowls are the best things ever.
Oh, they are so
God,
good.
they're so fucking good.
What is in there, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Give me some mo. Japan absolutely, vehemently opposed and refused to give the Americans any information about their biological weapon facts and findings that they got from Unit 731 and the experiments that they conducted. Now, there was a plethora of information that they had from the experiments they conducted here. There was a lot of scientific breakthroughs that were made from what I can gather here, but Japan refused to give America any of the findings. America, they had to use the threat of getting Russia involved, which caused them finally.
We're such bullies.
They said, "Don't make us call Russia." They weren't afraid of us and our nuclear bombs.
Right.
They were afraid of fucking Vladimir Putin.
Fucking Ruskies.
Was he even born yet? Probably
I don't
not.
think so.
Yeah, well, close.
These people fight grizzly bears. I mean, come on. I don't want to fuck with the
I
Russians.
must drink 15 bottles of vodka, then I will take this bear and I will 69 it. And I will blow load in bear's mouth and then I will fucking kill it with my bare hands. I will kill bear with bare hands.
Fucking
Not
Russia.
my bare hands. I will kill bear with his own bare hands. I'll kill bear with bare hands. America, like we said, they got fucking Russia involved, which finally caused Japan to be honest about the extent of their biological weapon experimentation. The Americans desperately wanted their data to be recovered from Unit 731 experiments, so much so Now they wanted the fucking information from these experiments so badly that they granted complete fucking immunity to all of these scientists involved. And it goes along with what happens today, Rob.
Project Paperclip.
If you have something that we want, go ahead and do whatever you want, as long as we can get what we want.
That's exactly like I said. Project Paperclip was kind of the same way.
Saudi Arabia, if you catch your women brushing their hair and putting on makeup, cut their fucking heads off.
How dare they?
Just keep on sending the oil over here, okay? As long as we get that oil, shave their eyebrows off, shit in their vaginas,
Ooh.
give them a hot pocket.
I was gonna say that's a hot pocket.
Oh, God. And part of the, I guess part of the plan, part of the agreement here, Japan wasn't allowed to tell any other countries about the information that they recovered from Unit 731. So Japan agreed they wouldn't tell any other countries, and they would fork over the information that America wanted. And we did touch on it earlier in the episode. America did learn some things about frostbite from this experiment, so I guess it wasn't completely all for naught. And we finally got the Americans involved here. There were some Americans that came forward 40 years later. That's former servicemen. They started talking about the events of Unit 731. And, quote, Joseph Gazzo, he snapped angrily and said, "Damn right, I remember." And he claims that he was actually one of the logs used in Unit 731. A former aviation engineer living in San Jose, California, Gazzo had glass rods inserted into his rectum during the internment.
Ugh.
So not flesh rods. He had glass rods put in his ass. And I don't know what betterment of science was was the end game there.
Oof.
But I watch Pornhub. I mean, I don't know. I don't watch porn. I know people that watch Pornhub, and there's women on there all the time that use like glass dildos and stuff. It's really pretty. I don't feel like it would feel nice.
They got the urethra sounds too. Have you seen those?
I have no fucking clue what you're talking about.
The tubes that they put in your dick hole. They're called urethra sounds.
No.
Yeah, they get your dick hard. They take the little, it's like a glass tube, and they just slide it into your dick hole.
Why would you do that?
And they can just let it go, and then pull it out.
Why?
I don't know. I don't get it.
God, cocaine is a hell of a drug.
If you're into getting your urethra sounded, let us know.
If you like your urethra entered with a glass rod, write us broiopodcast@gmail.com. Okay, now these guys, they claim that the U.S. government completely turned a blind eye to everything that was inflicted on them during these experiments. Quote, "I can't believe our government let them get away with it," he says. Ex-POW Frank James shared his memories with the U.S. House of Representatives subcommittee in 1986. We were just, quote, "we were just pawns." He later reflected, quote, "We always knew there was a cover-up." Another prisoner, Max McLean, remembers lining up for injections with his bunkmate, George Hayes. 48 hours later, Hayes complained, "Mac, I don't know what those SOBs gave me, but I feel like shit." God damn.
All right.
That evening, Hayes was dissected by the boys at the morgue, quote, McLean remembers bitterly. The House of Representatives hearing lasted just a fucking half day. They gave these guys, that were alleged POWs there in Japan for Unit 731, a half day to tell their side of the story. Only one of 200 U.S. survivors was permitted to testify. 1 out of 200.
Wow.
0.5%. Incredibly, the chief archivist for the U.S. Army testified, saying that most of the files and documents provided by Ishii were returned to Japan in the 1950s. They hadn't bothered to make copies. A former British POW remembers that was also held captive at Unit 731. Robert Peaty, a former major in the Royal Army Ordnance Corps, was the senior British officer at Mugden. Asked what the camp was like, Peaty said, "I was reminded of Dante's Inferno. Abandon hope, all ye who enter here." Peaty kept a secret diary recording the regular injections of infectious diseases disguised as preventative vaccinations. His entry for January the 3rd, 1943 records, "Everyone received a 5cc typhoid, paratyphoid A inoculation. On February 23rd, 1943, the entry read, funeral service for 142 dead. 186 have died in 5 days, all Americans. Further inoculations followed. By August 6th, 1942, the death toll reached 208. On September 22nd, 1945, the Imperial Japanese Army had prepared and scheduled to drop one of these patented plague bombs. So the fleas that were in the the casings, they had prepared one of these bombs to be dropped on San Diego, California. This was just in 1945. However, they surrendered 5 weeks before the bomb was due to be launched and dropped on America. So we were that fucking close
to getting fleed,
to getting flea bombed. In the present day, that's how you get rid of fleas in your house, is a flea bomb. Not back then.
Boy, how times have changed.
Times are changing, my friend. That's an hour and 21 minutes
of sexiness,
of just fucking hard butt fucking ball smacking, butt flapping, doing the do, Rob.
Yeah.
Dog. What an episode. What
an episode.
What a fucking injustice.
For sure.
A travesty.
Yes.
I'm glad I was not involved in that.
Yeah, it's really sad. I mean, especially because pretty much all of it was avoidable. They could definitely test these things in other methods.
Anytime I feel like I would be put in a situation where I would not be fed properly, I get really sad. And I feel like this is one of those situations where I would not get fed properly, Rob Dog.
Definitely. Yeah, that'd be pretty cranky.
They'd be like, they walk by my cell and be like, snapping to Slim Jim. Just fucking kidding, motherfucker. Not today. Not eating. We do got some syphilis heading your way. Mr. Ishii will be down here shortly. He's gonna fuck you in the ass.
Get a Slim Jim, but it's got syphilis on it. It's like, oh, come on.
I would still eat that Slim Jim. That's not stopping me from eating the Slim Jim.
I would definitely think about it.
And I carried in groceries at your house yesterday. There was a big box of Slim Jims, so I know there's some Slim Jimming going on at your house.
Always.
3 boys, there's definitely some Slim Jimming going on. Why them motherfuckers are all 13? Be Slim Jimming on the walls, Slim Jimming on the fucking ceiling.
Yep.
Why is the laundry so crinkly? Goddamn boys won't stop Slim Jimming. Hopefully your voice gets like 500% deeper by then. That'd be a lot cooler.
That'd be pretty sweet.
Although I have noticed my dad's strength gets I get a lot stronger the older I get. I don't weaken. I get the dad strength.
True.
I could pick a car up and launch it 2 fucking blocks right now if I had to. Like Incredible Hulk.
I've never had to, but I'm sure I could.
Boom. Fucking throw it. The fucking car out of here. God bless you, Rob. Rob has a tissue shoved up his nose.
I was even kind of silent on that sneeze too.
He's falling apart. So
my sinuses have been so bad today. I'll give someone free stickers and a t-shirt if they can tell me how many times I sniffed during this episode.
Someone's already fucking on it, dude.
You're gonna be wrong though. You ain't getting that shit
again. Thank you. We're not going to go back and confirm either, so don't waste your fucking time.
You're going to be wrong regardless what you say.
Just go to brohiopodcast.threadless.com. You can find all of our designs there.
Hey, come see us in October 20th, October 27th. Buy tickets. They're still, I think, still there.
Someone bought a Sherpa blanket.
Hey, I saw
from
that.
the Threadless website.
Yeah.
If you were the person that bought the blanket, please write us. brohiopodcast@gmail.com.
Yeah.
Instagram @brohiopodcast. Write us on Facebook.
I think you're the first person that's bought one.
They are, and I want to know who bought the blanket.
Yeah.
Because I want to see what the kid looks like that is made on that blanket. If it looks like Sloth from the Goonies.
I definitely want to talk to that person, though, for real.
My favorite crayon is potato. I love Ohio.
Thank you, though. That's great.
Ohio is my dad. Yeah, and thank you again from the bottom of my heart for this incredible journey. We are beyond thankful.
It's insane. We don't deserve it. We are not worthy.
No, we're not.
We are.
We're actually.
We fucking deserve it.
We fuck each other.
No, we're stupid. We just try to have a good time and hope that people want to listen to us act stupid and just act a fool pretty much for an hour and a half.
Yeah.
2 hours each week. That's, what we do.
Tune in, check us out on Patreon. You get some really good content on Bro Talk.
Yeah, I like just doing episodes of where we just, the Bro Talk where we just talk
that shit.
Maybe one day, if there's enough interest, maybe we'll do a main episode where all we do is just talk shit.
Midweek, yeah. I'm all for it.
Yeah, and then we can see if people like it and
see the true soul of of Nick Dog and Robalicious.
Exactly. Something like that.
All right, guys.
Well, thank you guys for listening. We love you.
I love you so much.
Bye.
I want to fuck your grandma. Yes. I want to blow my nose in your grandpa's sack.
Please. Please.